Okay, welcome back, students, teachers, and viewers out there. Okay, for the second slot, for the third slot today, okay, we will be having paper 2. We will be focusing on section D, okay, which is poem and novel. Okay, before we start our session today, let us look at the the prayer recitation led by Al-Fatih Ustaz, okay, Ridwan Abdullah from PPD Jerantut.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا الأمين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين اللهم إنا نسألك خير هذا اليوم فتحه ونصره ونوره وبركته وهداه ونعوذ بك من شر ما فيه وشر ما بعده. Ya Allah, sesungguhnya kami memohon kepadamu kebaikan hari ini, kemenangannya, pertolongannya, cahayanya, keberkatannya dan petunjuknya. Dan berlindung kepadamu dari kejahatan sesuatu yang ada di dalamnya dan kejahatan sesudahnya. Ya Allah, lindungilah kami, keluarga kami, anak-anak kami, jiran tetangga kami, masyarakat negeri dan negara kami dari wabak COVID-19 ini. Ya Allah, sembuhkan mereka yang telah dijangkiti dan yang sedang dirawati. Berikan kekuatan dan kesabaran buat barisan hadapan kami yang sedang berjuang menghadapi ujianmu ini. Kami bersyukur kerana dapat berhimpun pada hari ini bagi mengikuti program E-Serambi Ilmu Perangkat Daerah Jerantut. Allahumma ya rafi'ad darajat. Betulkan niat kami, kuatkan semangat kami. Jauhilah kami daripada sifat malas dan bertangguh. Limpahilah kami dengan sifat rajin dan bersegera. Tajamkanlah akal kami. Sinarilah hati kami dengan cahaya hidayahmu. Berkatilah pertemuan secara talian antara guru dan anak-anak. Berkatilah jua usaha-usaha kami. Ilhamkan dalam fikiran dan minda guru dan anak-anak idea yang bernas dan kefahaman yang jelas. Kurniakanlah pada guru dan anak-anak limpahan ilmu yang bermanfaat dan kefahaman yang tepat. Satukanlah hati-hati guru dan anak-anak. Kuatkanlah semangat kami. Eratkanlah silaturahim di kalangan kami warga pendidik daerah Jerantut. Padukanlah tenaga dan usaha kami untuk memartabatkan pendidikan dalam daerah tercinta ini. Allahumma ya mujibas sa'ilin. Jadikanlah guru dan anak-anak, ya Allah, dari kalangan hamba-hambamu yang taat dan bersyukur. Jauhilah kami, ya Allah, dari melanggari perintahmu. Kurniakanlah apa kiranya, ya Allah, kepada kami kesihatan yang berkekalan, kesejahteraan yang sempurna, fikiran yang waras, minda yang cerdas, rezeki yang halal, zuriat dan generasi yang beriman, serta segala kebaikan dan kebajikan di dunia dan di akhirat. Allahumma aqsim lana min khasyatik ma tahulu bihi bainana wa baina ma'asik wa min ta'atika ma tuballighuna bihi jannatik. Ya Allah, kurniakanlah guru, anak-anak rasa cinta akan ilmu-Mu, ya Allah, agar dengannya menjadi penghalang antara mereka dan maksiat kepadamu. Berikanlah kami ketaatan kepadamu yang akan menyampaikan kami ke syurga-Mu. Allahumma ja'al minal ladhina yastami'una al-qawl fayattabi'una ahsanah. Allahumma inna na'udzubika minal barasi wal junun والجزام ومن سيء الأسقام. اللهم اجعل جمعنا هذا جمعا مرحوما وتفرقنا من بعده تفرقا معصوما ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار وصلى الله على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم والحمد لله رب العالمين.
Okay, thank you, Al-Fadhil Ustaz Ridwan Abdullah, for the prayers. Okay, we will have our presentation, okay, shortly, in short. Right. The second slot will be paper two. Okay, here today we have Madam Yunis Hassan. She's currently in SMKA, Ko Ampuan Haja Abzan Pahang. Now she is a very experienced teacher. Okay, she has been teaching for 30 years actually, right? So I'm sure with all the knowledge that she has, we are able to gain a lot from the session. Okay, without further delay, okay, I'll pass over the mic to Madam Yohanis.
Okay, Assalamualaikum. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Praise to the Almighty Allah SWT for giving us the chance to gather here today. Okay, today I'll be doing SPM English Paper 192, which is also known as Paper 2. Okay, I will touch on tips for answering Section D, which is the literature component, literature component of poem and novel. Okay, before I start, let us look at the overview of the paper. Okay, SPM English Paper 19/2. Today I'm doing tips for answering Section D, literature component of poem and novel. Before I do that, let us recap our paper 2. Okay, in paper 2, we have 4 sections: Section A, Section B, Section C, and Section D. Section A is multiple choice question which come up to 15 marks. Section B is information transfer, 10 marks. Section C, comprehension and summary, come up to 25 marks. And Section D, literature component, which is 20 marks. Okay, why do I choose Section D out of all the section? It is because for Section D, student can be ready beforehand. Student can, what you call this? Student can prepare by answering question and looking at model questions. And furthermore, Section D is an open-ended question. There is no fixed answer. So for this part, student can at least get 1 or 2 marks compared to getting 0 in other parts where the answers is fixed. Okay, since our target here is to score, so every little mark count, even though poem is only 5 marks, but it counts when we want to get A for our paper. We need all the marks that we can get in every section. So that's why we choose Section D for this seminar today, so that students know that Section D is doable. It's not something difficult, something they can prepare beforehand, something they can look at model question and model the answer when they do their own revision on their own. Okay, Section D, question 32, poem. This part is 5 marks. Students are tested on 4 poems. From 4 poems, The Living Photograph by Jackie K, Charge of the Light Brigade by Alfred Tennyson, and in Form 5, What Has Happened to Lulu by Charles Cosley, and A Poison Tree by William Blake. So altogether, students learned 4 poems. 2 in Form 4, 2 in Form 5. However, for SPM, they will be only tested on one of the forms. So it is advisable for students not to forget what they have learned in Form 4 because they might be asked Form 4 poem. And another advice is do not target what will come up for the exam because we do not know what the question would be like. So my advice is to study all the 4 poems. Okay, let us recall the elements of a poem. First of all, setting, theme, moral values, point of view, mode and tone, literal meaning, figurative meaning, and literally devices. Okay, my focus now is on poem, What Has Happened to Lulu. Okay, for this session, I will discuss what has happened to Lulu. Okay, the first one. When we talk about setting in Lulu, the setting is Lulu's bedroom. Theme, grief and love. Moral value, we should be concerned of our parents' feelings. Point of view or persona, first point of view. Mood and tone, full of anxiety. Literal meaning from stanza 1, the persona is asking for his or her sister who is missing, because the persona only sees the rag doll on the bed. That is the literal meaning. Figurative meaning means we tend to take everything for granted. Only when the person is missing, then only we are concerned about the person. Literally devices, you have symbol, imaginary, metaphor, and repetition. In What Has Happened to Lulu, the symbol is curtain flapping free. It symbolizes freedom. Imaginary, a circle on the dusty shelf showing that Lulu has taken away her money box. And metaphor, a gust of rain to show that the rain comes in heavily. Okay, so those are the elements of poem: the setting, the theme, moral value, point of view, mood and tone, literal meaning, figurative meaning, and literally devices. Okay, next we go to the format. Section D, question 32. There are 4 sub-questions. 3 questions for 1 mark, 1 question with 2 marks. For the 3 questions, the answer is in the poem. Student can easily pick out the answer from the poem. For 1 question, 2 marks is a hot question, high order thinking skills, whereby it asks students some question that is out of the box. For this question, students are not to take answers from the line. Students have to come up with their own answer. Recently, the trend now is in question B or C, hot question is also given. Question like, why do you think Lulu ran away from home? That is a hot question whereby students have to think of the answer on their own. Remember, for hot questions, students are not to leave out the answers from the poem itself. Students have to come up with their own question, with their own answers, because that question is asking for the student's opinion. Okay, now we look at the next slide. Okay, students should pay attention to these words in the questions. Okay, this one, for example, if it asks for a word, that means student must give only 1 word. Even a or the is considered as 2 words. So be careful of this. Next is phrase. Phrase answer is more than a word but not a complete sentence. And then line. Must copy the whole line as the answer. So these 3 are the trap that students always fall into. Word, only 1 word. No a, no the, no and. Phrase, more than a word but not a complete sentence. Line, must copy the whole line as the answer. Okay, later on I will show you a sample of the question with word, phrase and line. Okay, sample question. Look at living photograph. Which word shows that the grandmother was getting old? Okay, are you answering on your own? Okay, good. Now look at number 2. Which line tells us that the grandmother has passed away? For this one, student should write out the line or write out the number of the line. To be safe, I prefer the student to write out the line, because when you write out the number, you might miscalculate. So it's better if you write out the line. Okay, next is another question. These two are from 4 poems. The Charge of the Light Brigade, number 1, from stanza 2, whom does he refer to? So he is a singular. That means your answer should be one person only. For number 2, theirs not to make reply. Why do you think the soldiers could not make a reply? This is a hot question, high order thinking skill. So this one, you cannot take from the line, but you have to come up with your own answer. Okay, what has happened to Lulu? Number 1, what can be seen in Lulu's bed? What can be seen in Lulu's bed? You mentioned only one item. Okay, and then for the next, for the next question, in stanza 2, what is the persona's mother doing and why do you think she reacts that way? This is also a hot question. Okay, here you have reaction and reason. Recently, you have to have both correct. That means your reaction and your reason must link. Okay, you cannot give a reason but doesn't connect with the reaction. For example, what is the persona mother doing and why do you think she reacts that way? Okay, let's say you give the answer happy. Reason? She wants her daughter back. Does it link? If it doesn't link, you have both of your answers is wrong. You have to get the reaction correct and the reason correct. Okay, so before you do the reaction and reason, think, does these two relate? Okay. Next is poison tree. A, what does the tree symbolize? Okay. This one, you should know your poem, the symbol of the, what you call this, under your literary devices. And then number 2, which phrase suggests that the persona had planned a devious strategy? Phrase, that means you choose a phrase from the poem that suggests the persona had planned a devious strategy. Just a phrase. That means not a line. Okay, are you clear on that? Okay, let us look at the tips for answering section D, question 32. Okay, first of all, you have to read and understand all the poems. You read and understand all the poem doesn't mean you have to understand it in English. You have to understand it in your own mother tongue. That means if your friend asks you to explain the poem in Bahasa, you can explain the poem because you really understand the poem. So have a good understanding of the poem, understand it in your own mother tongue, in your own language. Okay, so that you can talk about the poem. Not only can talk about the poem in your own language to your other friends to help you to get better understanding. And then you should know the meaning of every word. Okay, it is important for you to know the meaning of every word so that you can understand the poem better. And then you should also know the synonym of difficult words, because if you look at the poison tree, it uses a lot of archaic words which we don't use anymore, like wrath. Okay, so you should know what is the synonym for wrath. Okay, and number 4, know who the pronoun refer to. In some of the poem, you have the persona, you have the persona, or you have a word like he. For example, charge he said. For example, you should know who is the person mentioned in the poem, and then you should understand the underlying meaning. And it should be number 6. Number 6, do many exercises to get familiar with the question. I believe if you do a lot of questions on the poem, you will be answering the poem question would be very easy for you, because There's not, because it is sometimes it is repeated but in a different kind of way. Okay, maybe they reword it, they rephrase it, but basically it is the same question. Okay, so those are the tips for answering section D, question 32 poem. Anything else? Anybody would like to ask anything? Okay, I'm done with poem. Now I'm going to the next question, question 33, which is novel. Okay, novel is question 33 of section D. Okay, I'm sure by now most of you have finished reading the novel. If you have not, please do so. If you do not finish reading the novel, it will be difficult for you to answer the question, okay, especially in giving textual evidence. Okay, I suggest you to read the text, not the reference book, because reference book will have lack of textual evidence. After you have read the novel, then only you read the reference book, so get a better understanding. I will always advise my student to read the books more than 3 times. I believe if you read once, you only get the gist of the story. Okay, and if you read twice, you only remember bits of the story. But if you read more than twice, that means you are able to retell, recall, relate, and you can even and the and the textual evidence will be at your fingertips. So my suggestion is read the novel more than 3 times. Okay, section D, question 33, novel, you are given 15 marks. And marks allocated for content is 10, language is 5, full mark is 15. You can see the big chunk here is the content. So to get a big chunk of content here, you should know the story. Okay, you should know the story well. And then for language is only 5. And if you mind your tenses, your grammar, your what you call this, your punctuation, all, you can easily get 3 to 4, okay, because the mark range for language is quite small. Okay, so content, if you wish to get 10 for content, it should be a consistently relevant and convincing response to the task. Okay, what I mean by relevant is if the question asks about value, you should talk about value. Okay, and it should be convincing. That means your textual evidence is your content is convincing to the task, and it should be detailed and well developed textual evidence. Um, detailed and well developed textual evidence means you can tell what the character say, what the character do, okay, and the place of the incident happen. Okay, that is what I mean by detailed and well developed. You can mention the action, the reaction, and speech of the character. Language should be accurate. No grammar mistakes, only first draft slips. Okay, here you look at this, only first draft slip. That means you can make mistake. We're not looking for error-free answer, but we do allow mistakes, only first draft slips. That means if you have a mistake, 1 or 2 mistake here and there, your chances of getting 4 is high. And then it's well organized. Think of answering your novel question like answering your essay, whereby you have introduction, you have content, and you have conclusion. Okay, so you have paragraph and suitable connectors. Example, firstly, the second, in conclusion, all in all these will make your answer look organized and look neater and look like you are a good student. Okay, students should be able to identify important elements, event of Captain Nobody. Okay, after you have read Captain Nobody, you find that there's too much in Captain Nobody for you to remember. We have simplified it into B Cobras. This one I've taken from JUJ Pahang. JUJ Pahang JJ Pahang only have cobra, but I use it as bee cobras. The only cobra that I want you to be is this. Okay, bee cobras. Okay, once you know the cobras, you are able to write a detailed and well-developed response appropriately using store. This one is also something I've taken from JUJ Pahang. Okay, by using store, your answer for content would be well organized. Later on, the next slide, I show you what store stands for. Okay. Okay, Captain Nobody Importance Event, B Cobras. Okay, let us be Cobras. Let us look what B stands for. Okay, B stands for breakfast. The first chapter of the Captain Nobody is about breakfast. And then CO stands for costume. B, big bass drum. Event are the most important event because this event has the most textual evidence to be used in your answer. Okay, cobras can help you. How? In B cobras, you get to know the character. Newton, Chris, Mrs. and Mr. Newman. Who else? Yes, JJ and Cecil. And also characteristic, kind, caring, helpful, moral value. We must always support our family. You must care and love. You must care and love for our family. Team, family relationship, determination in one's life, setting, Newton's house in the morning. For team and moral value, it is not clearly stated in the poem. You have to read the poem to get the moral value. Same with team. You have to read the story to get the team. Okay. Let's say the question asks you about family. Okay, about family love. Which bee cobras is suitable to use for family? Okay, for family, the most suitable bee cobras to use is B because breakfast is fully about what Newton do with his family in the early morning. Let's say you want to talk about friendship. Which bee cobras is suitable for friendship? Which event? Okay, for friendship, you can find there are a lot of events that shows friendship in costume, big bass drum, robbery, aeroplane, and saving Reggie Redner. Okay, let's say it gives you a theme of determination in one's life. Which bee cobras can help you to answer determination in one's life? Okay, again, we can use cobras. C, costume. B, big bass drum. R, robbery. A, aeroplane. And S is saving Reggie Redner. So as you can see, when you know the B cobras, you can easily choose one of the B cobras to suit into the question as your textual evidence or textual evidences. Okay, 5R to answering novel. Okay, first of all, you have to read. Read the whole question carefully. By being careful, you should underline. You should underline the singular and plural because some question ask for one. Okay, you should take note of the singular, plural, event, events, character, characters. Okay, and then you recognize and underline the task in question for introduction. In the question, you underline the task. How many tasks must you do? Must you answer one question or must you answer two questions? Most of the students, when they do this, they tend to forget the other tasks. So they only answer one question only. Actually, it is two questions in one question. So you have to recognize how many questions must you do in one question. If you answer one question whereby they have two questions or three questions, you wouldn't get high marks. The highest you would get could be 6 if you do it well. But then it'd be a waste of time for you to write a very long answer for one answer, whereby they ask you for two answers. So here is where students lose mark. Okay, so recognize and underline the task. How many things must you do in that question? Okay, then the third one is you relate. Relate suitable events and characters from B Cobras to the question. Do you remember that before this I talked about family? Okay, about family, which event from B Cobras can you use for question for family? Of course, you will take B, breakfast. Or which character do you admire? Here, when we talk about characters, always stick to the main characters. Okay, because for main characters there are a lot of textual evidence. However, last year question was a big challenge for Captain Nobody because they asked for character which you dislike. Okay, so be careful of the word characters, events. Okay, when you know the events and characters, you choose from the B Cobras. You choose which cobra is suitable to the question. Sometimes you can use all the cobras for the question if they ask for more than one reasons. Relate and emphasize. Make sure your answer is related to the question and emphasize the task at the end of each paragraph. So after you have answered one paragraph, you relate your first line to the last line so that it will tie up the answer to show that you know what you're talking about. And then 5, review your answer and check grammar. This one, if possible, you want to minimize the grammar error. Okay, if you can have a less grammar error, your marks for this would be higher. Okay, time management in answering novel. In the novel part, you have about 30 minutes plus or minus. Actually, section D, you have 35 minutes, 5 minutes for poems and 30 minutes for grammar. And 30 minutes for novel. So by doing this, you can control your time. If you have finished your poem faster, you do it in less than 5 minutes, then you have more time in answering novel. Don't leave any question a blank. Answer all questions. So here, roughly you have 30 minutes plus or minus, depends on how long you do your poem. Okay, first of all, pre-writing. Pre-writing, you should read, recognize, and relate. Pre-writing is very important because before you jump into the question, you should organize yourself first. You read, you recognize, and relate. Here is whereby you underline the question, you underline the question, okay? You look at the singular and plural. See how many questions you must answer in the rubrics, okay? And then I would prefer you for my student, I would prefer my student to write here, use past tense as a reminder to yourself that it must be in the past tense. Okay, and over here also, after you have read, recognize, and relate, write which B cobra you want to use. Okay, so you are set with your ideas on pre-writing. Roughly you take about 3 minutes. Okay, then you go to your post-writing about 25 minutes. Okay, so here you write, relate, and emphasize reasons. You do so by doing the introduction. Okay, introduction is a must. And then store. Store is one content point plus conclusion. Store can be 1, can be 2, depending on the question. Because can you see reason here? It could be a reason, it could be reason. So store could be more than 1. Okay, so this will take you up like 25 minutes. Okay, and then you have about 2 minutes. Okay, about 2 minutes, you review. What do you review for? You check grammar, check your tenses. Make sure your tenses is consistent. Do not jumble up past tense and present tense. Okay, and then mechanics of writing, your full stop, your comma. All these will help you to push up your marks so that you will get a better marks. And in total, it is 30 minutes. Okay, You can start by practicing how to do it, time yourself so that during the exam you have adequate time to answer this question. Okay. What is this hamburger doing? This hamburger is to give you a visual image of your answer, of your novel answer. So we do it in a hamburger style so that you can have the vision of how your writing, a perfect writing should be like. Okay, this is 27 minutes writing, plus minus. Why 27 minutes writing? Because you have pre-writing in 3 minutes. Okay, pre-writing is 3 minutes, and then you have remainder of 27 minutes which you do your writing. So in total is 30 minutes. Okay, in the para hamburger answer, you have introduction, evidence 1, evidence 2, evidence 3, and conclusion. This should be a perfect answer for you with introduction, evidence 1, evidence 2, evidence 3, and conclusion. Sometimes the evidence can only be 1. Okay, it depends on the question. Okay, let us look at introduction. For introduction, write the title of the novel and the author. Answer the question in general. This should be about 2-3 lines only. And if you can do it fast, let's say just do it in 2 minutes. Don't take more than this. Okay? So I will show you a sample of the introduction. Oh, sorry. Okay. Okay, this is a sample of an introduction. Based on the novel that you have studied, choose a character that you like most. Give reasons for your choice with close reference to the text. Okay, can you see the words highlighted in red? Okay, so, and the words highlighted in green and also in blue. And then you compare it to the words below. Okay, based on the novel that I've studied, Captain Nobody, written by Dean Pitchford, this one you can memorize. By now, you know that you're not going to do any other novel but this. Memorize this, okay? Memorize this line. Based on the novel that I've studied, Captain Nobody, written by Dean Pitchford. Remember, for this question, you have to write a comma. Okay, if you write a full stop, your sentence would be awkward and it lead you to grammar mistake. Okay, a character that I like most is Newton Newman. I like him because he has demonstrated great values throughout the novel. This is where you give me reasons for your choice. Okay, the reason for your choice is because of the values that he possessed. Another simple way of writing the introduction. The novel I have studied is Captain Nobody, written by Dean Pitchford. Full stop. The character I admire is Newton. Okay, so here you can see you have to do 2 things in the question. 1, you choose a character. 1, you give reasons why you choose the character. Okay, another sample of intro. Suggest 1 character in the novel you have studied that you think is admirable. Briefly describe the character and give reasons for your choice with close reference to the text. Here, you have to do 2 questions. Okay, you have to do 3. 1, you give me a character. 2nd, you describe the character. And 3rd, you give reasons for your choice. Okay, and if you look at the question, admirable and character that you like, it is synonym. So be careful. So don't panic when you see words that you don't understand. So here, a knowledge of synonym is also advisable. To know synonym of words favorite question words in the essay, like characters you admire, characters you look up to, characters you like. Basically, it means character that you like, but using different word. Okay, so this one, for this question, it asks you to describe briefly the character. For the question before this, it did not ask you to describe the character. So do not give what is not wanted. Okay, giving more than is wanted doesn't give you more marks. It only take you away from your time. Okay, so using the same sentence pattern, based on the novel that I've studied, Captain Nobody, written by Dean Pitchford. The character I think admirable is Captain Nobody, which is also the main character. Okay, this one is quite lengthy, but by now you should have your own sentence pattern on how to write the introduction. Okay, briefly describe the character. He is a 10-year-old boy who has a brother named Chris, who is also a famous football star. Newton goes to Appleton Elementary with his best friends Cecil and JJ. I suggest you to memorize briefly the character, so that if you have other questions that ask for the character, you already have in hand what you're going to talk about the character. Okay, a simple way of doing the introduction. The novel I studied is Captain Nobody, written by Dean Pitchford. The character that I think admirable is Newton Newman. Okay, so by now you should get ready with how you want to do the introduction. Which one you think is the best? Is the best way for you to write introduction? Introduction is something that you can memorize. In the introduction, you give me the name of the novel, the writer, and then answering the question generally first. Okay. Okay, then we go to the content. You can see that I show here content and store. There are many ways of writing content, but I decided to show you how it is done using store. I will show you after this. Okay, content or textual evidence. Okay, if you write it too short or too little, maybe it is just merely mentioned, and if you do this, you get a low band. For example, please don't do this. Okay, based on the novel that you have studied, choose a character that you like most. Okay, this is for content. Yeah, Newton Newman is kind. He is kind to everyone. He is helpful. He likes to help people. He helps Cecil to get the big bass drum. That is why I choose him. Okay, here you can see it is almost little or no textual evidence. So this one will award you low marks. Okay. Second, too long, too much, mindless writing, mid-band. This one is what most average student would do. They think by writing long, lengthy textual evidence, they will get high marks. But actually, they might be doing mindless writing. Okay, let's see a sample of this. Okay, based on the novel that you studied, choose a character that you like most. It is the last Friday in October. Everybody in Appleton is excited for the derby of an American football game between the ferocious ferrets of Fillmore High School and the Chargers of Merrimack High School, also known as the Big Game. Newton Newman has a big brother, Chris Newman, who is a local football star who plays for the ferocious ferret after an electrifying debut 2 years ago. Newt is preparing breakfast for his family when he comes across an article for his brother in the sports section of the local newspaper. At first, Newt is eager to show the article to Dad, but he is held down when the phone rings. On the other hand, Moms is also busy receiving a call from their neighbor. Newt gets frustrated as both of his parents have not touched their breakfast. To make himself feel useful, Newt goes upstairs to wake his brother up. Annoyed with his brother's bellow, Chris throws a pillow at him but ends up hitting the floor hard. Newman is kind. He is kind to his family. He is helpful. He likes to help his family to make breakfast. That is why I choose him. So as you can see, some of the TE is irrelevant to the task regardless on how detailed it is. Whenever you write the TE, it should be relevant to the task. This one would be mindless writing. Okay, we want quality, not quantity. Okay, remember, it is not about the length but content. The content has to be convincing and relevant to the task. Okay, what is the best? The best should be detailed, well-developed textual evidence which is related to the question, and this can award you a high band. It is also the chronology of the event before, during, and after. Let us take a look at what I mean by the best. Okay, do this for content. This is shown when Captain Nobody helps Cecil get the big bass drum from the top of a dumpster. This event happens after school when Newt receives a message from Cecil through a walkie-talkie. Newt is afraid of heights, so he suggests Cecil should be the one who climbed the dumpster. After Cecil makes it clear that the job is meant for the fearless Captain Nobody, Newt changes his mind. Without any hesitation, Newt climbs up the dumpster to fulfill Cecil's dream to own the first drum. Next, Newt carefully passes the drum to his sidekick Cecil, who is waiting with an open arm on the ground. He also overcomes his fear of height called acrophobia, and as a result of his action, Cecil gets to have the big bass drum. So you can see for this, it has the chronology of the event, the before, the while, and the after. So this should be the way for you to write your content. Okay. When I talk to my student about textual evidence, I always ask them to think of how they gossip about a person. When you gossip about a person, you don't just mention. You would give reasons, evidence to prove that your gossip is true. For example, you would say, who is the famous one now? Okay, I'm sure everyone is familiar with Nilofa. Nilofa is a rich girl. Okay, what is your evidence to prove that Nilofa is rich? So, to prove that Nilofa is rich, you should say she owns a lot of luxury cars. That is your evidence to prove what you say. If you just say Nilofa is a rich girl, what is your proof? Okay, so that will be mere mention. Mere mention is like what I show in the first sample of a low band. To get high band, you would be able to explain Nilofa is a rich girl who owns a fleet of luxurious car. Okay, and then you should be able, for example, here, this event happened when you receive a message from Cecil. If you just say a message from Cecil, how you get the message? So how we get the message is through the walkie-talkie. Okay, and then what else in detail? Okay, here it shows that Cecil really wants the big bass drum because he is waiting with open arms on the ground. Okay, and then to show that he is also brave, he overcome his fear of height called acrophobia. Okay, so remember when you give your point, you have to support your point with textual evidence. If not, your textual evidence would be mere mention. Support your ideas with textual evidence taken from the novel. Some students tend to give their own textual evidence thinking that the examiner or the teacher will not know. Don't do it. We know. Okay, so if you give textual evidence which is not from the story, you'll be charged with FE, factual error. Okay, factual error will pull down your marks regardless on how long your essay is. Remember, it is quality, not quantity. Okay, and then at the end of your burger, you have the last bun to tie everything up. If not, your burger will be sloppy. So you write down the conclusion, stating the personal response, opinion, 2 or 3 lines. And here also, if you have time, you check grammar and your punctuation marks. You do it in 2 minutes. This one is, you can either do the A style or you can do the simple one. A simple one would be you reinstate what you have written on the top. Okay, you reinstate what you written on your top to show, to tie up introduction and conclusion. I'll show you a sample of an A student. Okay, suggest one character in the novel you have studied that you think is admirable. Briefly describe the character and give reasons for your choice with close reference to the text. In conclusion, in the end, finally, okay, that is your connectors to show the ending. Newman is admirable because he has courage to help his best friends when they are in need. Apart from that, he is willing to risk himself so that other people's life will not be affected. Newton proves that without courage, life is meaningless. Those are the reasons which I found him admirable. This one, you reinstate what is written on the top, reword it, and summarize your answer and emphasize the task. Okay, this is quite worthy. You can also make it shorter. Okay, it depends on how you do it. Okay, but you have to have conclusion to tie up everything. Okay, evidence 1, evidence 2, evidence 3, it depends on the question. But I think most of the question would be asking for reasons. I would suggest you to give 2 reasons only, but a very well developed reason. If you give 3, maybe your reason is just merely touching. So it's better for you to give 1 or 2 reasons, but well developed reason. For well developed reason, let us look at store. Okay, store is something that we in Pahang use because it is in our JUJ Pahang. Okay, using store to write content. Store, S stands for statement or topic sentence, T for textual evidence, O for opinion, RE for relate and emphasize. So this is not the whole essay, mind you. This is just to write content, one of the patty in the burger, remember? The reason why Captain Nobody is admirable because he is a courageous person. This is your statement. So from this statement, this is the elaboration. The elaboration is the textual evidence. This one we take from the Cobras, which is big bass drum. This is shown when Captain Nobody helps Cecil get the big bass drum from the top of a dumpster. This event happens after school when Newt receives a message from Cecil through a walkie-talkie. Newt is afraid of heights, so he suggests Cecil should be the one who climbed the dumpster. After Cecil makes it clear that the job is meant for the fearless Captain Nobody, Newt changes his mind. Without hesitation, Newt climbs up the dumpster to fulfill Cecil's dream. Without any hesitation, Newt climbs the dumpster to fulfill Cecil's dream to own the first drum. Newt carefully passes the drum to his sidekick, Cecil, who is waiting with open arms on the ground. He also overcomes his fear of height called acrophobia, and as a result of his action, Cecil gets to have the big bass drum. Okay, this is a very thorough textual evidence whereby you have the before, while, and after incident. Okay, so can you see O? O is your opinion. Opinion based on this textual evidence. As a friend, we must help our friend in need. As the saying goes, a friend in need is a friend indeed. Without courage, a person would not be able to help others and also themselves. It is clear that starting from courage, we will not hesitate to help others. At the end of the day, bigger result is also achieved. And then you tie up what you have written on the top. Okay, you tie up everything so it will look neat and nice. You relate and emphasize. That is why Captain Nobody is an admirable character. Okay, this is for one content. Okay, so looking back at our para hamburger, which we do in 27 minutes of writing plus minus. First, we do pre-writing 3 minutes and then post-writing 27 minutes, total 30 minutes. Okay, 30 minutes depends on how long you do your poem. If you finish your poem quickly, you have more time to do your novel. Okay, so imagine it is like a burger where you have the bun, which is the introduction, and you have the condiments and the patty as the evidence. Evidence 1, evidence 2, evidence 3, depending on how many reasons. My suggestion is to give 2 reasons, but a well-developed reasons using store method. Okay, this will take you about 23 minutes. And then after you have written everything, okay, you have to give a conclusion to tie up everything up. Imagine a burger without the last bun. Can you imagine how sloppy it would be? So don't do this. Make sure you have a perfect burger with buns at the top and the bottom. Okay, this is the whole answer. Okay, the whole answer. Based on the novel that you have studied, choose a character that you think is admirable. Give reasons for your choice with close reference to the text. Okay, this is the question that we've been doing all the while. Okay, this is the first paragraph. This is the introduction. Based on the novel that I have studied, Captain Nobody, written by Dean Pitchford, a character that I think is admirable is Captain Nobody. I admire him because he has demonstrated great values throughout the novel. Okay, this is your content, the body of your essay. The reason why Captain Nobody is admirable because he is a courageous person. Okay, this is your statement. Thesis statement. This is shown when Captain Nobody helps Cecil to get the big bass drum from the top of a dumpster. This event happens after school when Newt receives a message from Cecil through a walkie-talkie. Newt is afraid of heights, so he suggests Cecil should be the one who climbed the dumpster. After Cecil makes it clear that the job is meant for the fearless Captain Nobody, Newt changes his mind. Without any hesitation, Newt climbs the dumpster to fulfill Cecil's dream to own the first drum. Newt carefully passes the drum to his sidekick Cecil, who is waiting with open arms on the ground. He also overcomes his fear of height called acrophobia, and as a result of his action, Cecil gets the big bass drum. Okay, this is the T, textual evidence. And then as for O, opinion or personal response, as a friend, we must help our friend in need. As the saying goes, a friend in need is a friend indeed. Without courage, a person would not be able to help others and also themselves. It is clear that starting from courage, we will not hesitate to help others. At the end of the day, bigger result is also achieved. And then you end your store with RE, relate and re-emphasize. That is why Captain Nobody is an admirable character. Okay, if the question asks for reasons, then you do another store, you repeat this part for your second content. Okay, so that you have a Big Mac, a double patty. So in the end, in conclusion, Captain Nobody is admirable because he has the courage to help his best friend when they are in need. Apart from that, he is willing to risk himself so that other people's life would not be affected. Captain Nobody proves that without courage, life is meaningless. Those are the reasons why I found him admirable. So if you are able to write this kind of answer, you can rest assured that you have 10 in your hand and 5 for language. Okay, we aim for the best We aim for the highest so that when we fall, we will not fall straight to the ground. We might land among 3 or 4. Okay. Okay, so far, are you with me? Okay, so what you do during the school holidays? You should keep calm and read. What do you read? You read Captain Nobody, and also you can read the poems again. Go through Captain Nobody, go through the poems. Okay, thanks for watching. Just a little reminder from me. The only person that is stopping you from getting A is you. So if you want to get A, you should work hard, be diligent, and do a lot of exercises. Remember, you are the only person stopping you from getting A. Good luck in your SPM. I wish you all the best, hoping that you will get A for your SPM. Okay, so that is the end of our session. Alhamdulillah, everything have end well today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Okay, thank you very much, our presenter, Madam Yohanis from SMKA Tahap. It will definitely be your loss if you have missed the slot just now. Now, to wrap up everything for paper 1 and papers, I would like to share some slides with you. Okay, now, as you know, English paper 1 paper is quite a tough paper. Okay, it has always been a major difficulties for us, all of us. Now, to help you out, now let us recap. Now, we look at SPM 2.0 paper for paper 2. Now, I'm sure you have studied everything again in the format. Okay, for example, section A for paper 2. Now the MCQ questions. Okay, now altogether we have 15 questions, right? Okay, you have the stimulus, and then you have 7 questions for the grammar items and vocab. Now, one thing that I would like to remind you, okay, for the MCQ questions, the ABC, okay? So when you look at the stimulus, okay, when you look at the questions, now do look at the answers. Now, remember, slash the wrong answer first. Okay, if you think the answer is wrong, slash, okay? Don't look at it anymore. And then, because of all the questions, of all the answers that you have, you will definitely have a wrong answer there. You will have distracted answer, and you will have the correct answer. So make sure you slash the wrong answer first. Okay. And then if you answer the MCQ questions, do remind yourself that now whatever you have seen in the question, usually it has underlying meanings. Okay, meanings it is not direct. So of what the question wants you to answer. Okay, so be careful with the MCQ. It looks simple, but then if you're not careful, you will lose marks. Now, I think usually the good students will lose marks or get lose marks for this section. And then you have the vocab. Okay, Now, make sure you identify the tenses being used. Make sure you you slash the answer. Okay, and then make use of the textual clues, okay, given in the text to help you out. Okay, and then we have section B, which is information transfer. Now, students always score, okay, this section because the information is there. But you have to remember, information transfer is very technical. Okay, do not copy the whole phrase or sentence. Look at just look at the forms or whatever given there. Okay, be careful, it is quite technical. Okay, just answer what the question wants. Okay, don't copy everything. Don't fill everything there. Now, sometimes the text itself will provide you some clues. Look at the clues given. Okay, identify the given clues to get the required answer. What the question wants actually. Okay, for section C. Now, for section C, now it is quite important. You know why? Because there are 10 marks for reading comprehension for you, and then 15 marks for summary. So altogether, you have 35 marks there. Now, when you answer reading comprehension, straight away, look at the summary question. Okay, before you read the text itself, read the summary questions. Why? Because if you look at the text, it doesn't have a title, right? So look at the summary questions. Now, because the summary questions will give you the general idea, okay, of what you will be expecting. Okay, there are questions, okay, and the WH questions. Okay, answer the WH questions. I mean, okay, when you answer what, okay, we are looking for object, okay, or idea, something like that. Okay, when you answer why, make sure you answer or start your answer with because. All right. So remember this kind of thing. How education asks for how, it means look at the text and then some ideas there. How? Okay. And then for the summary, now the 10 words given. The 10 words given is very important. Okay, they are very important in the sense that now they give you two things. Okay, what the pronouns to be used. Okay, and number two, what is the tense to use. Okay. Now, and then for the last thing is that look for verbs, because usually the summary question asks you how and why, okay, and gives the impression that you have to look for the verbs in the text itself. Okay, the next slide. Okay, now this is the brief description for the assessment of directed and continuous writing. Okay, now if you look at the band, now the band given to your teachers to mark your essays. Now I'll summarize it for you. Now, for example, for DW and DW, sorry, okay, to get A band, right? Direct writing 19 marks, DW 44 until 50 marks. Now, you must show very good command of language, okay, and vocabulary. Now, don't make any grammar errors here. If you want to read the score A, don't. Now, make sure your essay is interesting enough for the readers to give you marks. Now, in this band, you will have lots of merits. I mean, you are using a lot of sophisticated words. Okay, that actually precise. Okay, and then you do make mistakes, but then they are only first class. Okay. Okay, for band B. Okay, for B band, again, it's also good. Okay, you have command of language, good vocab. Okay, sometimes it's not apt. Okay, sometimes it's awkward. Okay, still there are errors, but this kind of errors that you have made, it may appear to be spelling. Now, for the B band, less merits for you. Okay, the C band. Now, usually we are good. Okay. Now, there are two types of C band. One is clean and flawless. Means you are not making errors. Okay. It's just a play safe kind of estate. Okay. There are not so many merits there, but at the same time, there are no errors. So it means that I think it's quite monotonous. Okay, it's quite plain, it's quite boring. Okay, another one, okay, it will be ambitious. Now, here it will be ambitious. Students are here. It means that you are quite ambitious in the sense that you try to show off. Okay, you try to show off. You are using a lot of words that you are using. You know that will be good. There is somewhere in the text, but at the same time you are making basic. You are making basic. Okay, for the section, for D bank, most of us are here. So there are many patches of clear language. Okay, now we just can understand what you are trying to say. Okay, but then the errors are basic. Okay, at least you have you know one error in almost every sentence. So your vocabulary is quite limited. It's not appropriate. And then you may not address the topic, right? You do not address the topic. So if you do not address the topic, it may go down to event. Okay, where the meaning is never in doubt. The examiner still can understand what ideas can basic errors. Okay, it's limited. Okay, but it is not addressed well. Okay, now don't go to you pen. All right, don't go to you pen because when the meaning is very clear, the teachers or the examiner will read and reread your text the meaning. Okay, there will be lots of errors. Now, this is a pen that you wouldn't want to be in, right? The US pen. Especially when you are targeting for your different noun. And then you too have more double slashes there. Okay, a lot of double slashes. You can hardly understand. Okay, there are some slashes, a lot of errors, but somehow in the middle of the essay you have few sentences. Okay, and the last one. Okay, I do hope that you are not getting into this bad. Okay, okay. Now we have shared a lot during this session. Now I do hope that you have gained something out of this. Next slide. Okay, for paper one and paper one, okay, section B, okay, the continuous writing. Now, I recap the things that the information given by Madam Suhaila, okay, Madam Hasling. Now, she has mentioned narrative, descriptive, and argumentative giving opinions, topic or question. Now, if you choose narrative, you will you will answer a story-based question. Okay, no fact is required. Okay, you can prepare sophisticated words or structures before you sit for the exam on the 23rd of February, right? So actually you can prepare ahead. Now this is the advantage of narrative. Okay, now for descriptive, now you need to have a lot of good vocab. Okay, your essay should be colorful and creative with your choice of words. You know, you have to describe using the 5 senses. Okay, you have to describe using the 5 senses. Now it is quite difficult if you are not good enough in your vocabulary. Okay, and then again, argumentative and giving opinions. Okay, state your points clearly, logical reasoning and examples. Now make sure you show some matured thoughts in your essay. Now we have shared with you the tips in answering, okay, continuous writing. Now choose carefully. Okay, choose carefully with the questions that you want to answer. Okay, before we wrap up, again, never go on fighting in a war and unprepared. Okay, make sure you are ready with everything. You have spent your whole 11 years of schooling. Okay, so this is now on the 23rd February will be the battle that you have to fight, and you must be prepared. So educating yourself, okay, because key is the key to success. Key is now. Finally, we come to the end of the English language section. On behalf of the PPD Jerantut, Sector Pembelajaran, do accept our apologies for our lacking. Okay, thank you so much for participating. We hope that these sessions benefited all of you. Okay, now do like, okay, share and subscribe to the YouTube channel of Sector Pembelajaran PPD Jerantut. Why? Because you can watch and watch and watch again and again. And okay, the videos that we have uploaded that. Okay. To all the students out there, kindly click onto the link of the attendance and the register. Okay, whereas for the participating teachers, okay, do fill in some details for your SPL KPM registration. Okay, before I end the session, again, I would like to thank Puan Rohaiza Amiruddin, okay, SRC Plus TVET from Sector Pembelajaran, our dear friend here, okay, Syarul, also from Sector Pembelajaran, our Timbalan Pembelajaran, okay, for making this happen. So, don't forget, we have some more interesting slots for you tomorrow, which is Maths Kertas 2, Mathematics Kertas 2, that will be streaming live at 9 AM. Okay, so we are looking forward to your participations. So this concludes our sessions. Thank you very much.